The city of Laodicea have so much gold. They have so much gold that people come from all over to buy gold. Now, listen. They bring gold and refine it in their land. Their land does not produce gold, but they bring gold and they refine it. And that is one of the reasons I talk to every African. The whites, I make bold to say, and let the whole world hear me, the whites planned to enslave us forever. It started from the time they came to colonize us. They spoiled our education system. They killed our mentality from the beginning. It takes the wise to understand what I'm talking about, but I will still say it. How did they do it? They did not educate us to be educated. They educated us to remember. They did not educate us to think. That is why we in Africa, no matter how educated you are, with our system of education, the only thing you are trained to do is to remember. You are not trained to think. No matter your discipline, it is something targeted at our tomorrow. And we need to wake up and liberate ourselves. And I will talk to Africa one of these days. And I will tell my people how we shall liberate ourselves from that. What do I mean? If I don't make it clear, you will not understand what I mean. What I mean is this. By the curriculum they gave to us, by the way they fashioned our education, this is what they did to us. They educated us the way we will remember the past. So we keep living in the past. If you are a lawyer in this place, the only thing you will learn is how to remember the laws that were made. How to remember them and quote them. So you are educated to remember the past. You are educated to remember things that happened. If you are a medical doctor in this house, you are not educated to invent. You are not educated to think and bring out new things. But you are educated to remember. There was a time somebody had this thing in America and they joined this one to this one. So your education is based on remembrance. They fixed us, trained us only to remember. They did not train us to think. If you're a lawyer in this place, when you get to court, you quote the things that has happened before. And it is when you quote the things that have happened before that you can remember. We clap for you as a good and a powerful lawyer. Now it's no longer interesting because now they say write everything and send. So people no longer talk for us to hear. Those days when they talk for us to hear, you hear quote and unquote. In 1972, in the High Court, seated at this, that, remember. You are trained to remember. You are not trained to think. Even in my field, as a pastor, you are trained to remember what happened in Jerusalem. What happened years ago. What happened during the time of Christ. But you are not trained to think. Now, when there is any danger in the world, people from all over the world who we are trained to think, we think on what to invent, what to produce, to hit what is happening. But our own is that ab initio. Our brain is to remember. So we will sit down and wait for others to invent before we will copy, because we are trained only to remember. Did that make sense to anybody? If I make sense to you, shout, God help us. I have something for my generation. I have something to tell the world on our behalf. Somebody say, help us, Lord. This is a strategic agenda to keep us under. Why am I saying this? I told you that Abasia, but they do not produce gold. Ladies and gentlemen, Buckingham Palace in England, London, Buckingham Palace is built and designed with gold, but there is no gold in England. England do not produce gold, but Ghana produce gold. But in the house of the king of Kumasi, there is no gold designed there. But in England, Buckingham Palace, they took the gold from Ghana and they designed Buckingham Palace. But where we are, there is no gold. Can I talk to you? They educated us to remember. So by your formation, that is why when you tell me I'm a professor in Nigeria, I just look at you. You tell me you are this in Nigeria, I just look at you. Why? No matter your training, the system position you to remember. Ladies and gentlemen, believe you me, before now, anybody that's schooling abroad, when they come back to Nigeria, what we used to call them is binto. I don't know if any of you know when we call them the binto. Now, the difference between them that studied there and we that studied here is that those of them who studied there, they were trained with different ideology. When they come back here, we look like people who are not educated. It is not true. The only difference is that they have the opportunity to mix up with those who are trained to think. So they think. But here, we are trained to remember. Our army used to be one of the best in land battle. But can I say this to you? That was when some very dangerous weapon has not come in place. Now that sophisticated weapons have come in place, we are no longer finding our feet. You know why? We are trained to remember. We are not trained to think. We are not able to follow events and follow the happenings. Thank God for the prophetic. Thank God for the prophetic. Prophetic takes us beyond where they think ordinarily we will get to. And the only reason they have a little bit of fear when it comes to Christendom for Africa is the prophetic. Apart from the prophetic, they are the ones who tell us, who teach us, and the only thing they teach us is to remember. They are not teaching us to think, but they teach their people to think. They teach their people to invent. But they are teaching us to remember. Show me one Africa who has manufactured anything different from what you remember and learn from Oyibo, and you start. Who in Africa have invented something that had never existed before? Don't we have the same brain they have? And our own is even stronger. But from time, they educate us only to remember. Now they are pushing for one word religion, and they are pushing for one word for reorienting the world. Why? They want to subdue our children to where they kept us, because they have seen that some of our children are being sent out there to compete with their own children. So what are they trying to do? They are trying to bring it back, bring us down and subject and submit our children to that place of where they call the basis, where the only thing we do is to remember. Right where you're seated, no matter how educated you are, sit down and reason what I have told you. The only thing you are trained to do is to remember. You are only trained to remember. For a lawyer to wake up and go to court in Nigeria, you will go and carry books what they call law books of judgments that they have given in the past, and you start reading them. What are you doing? Remember, you are not moving forward. There are things that played out 1980 that if you bring it now, it will not work again. But when you quote 1980 in court, we clap for you. You quote 1999 Constitution, we clap for you. You quote this, we clap for you. Why? You are trained to remember. What about thinking about future? What about somebody bringing out something that was not in existence before? That is what they do, but they don't want us to do. They think we remember. The one they think out, they pass across to us, then we remember. If you get there and you were educated in their system to think, they will seize you. You are not allowed to come back to Africa again. Because if you come back to Africa, you will sell it to other Africa. And if you sell it to other Africa, our orientation will change. And if you sell it to us, in 1 year, we will be better than them. And what will they do? They will seize you. If you insist on going, they will kill you. Why are they going to kill you? They will kill you because of what you have upstairs. They will seize you because of what you have upstairs. Then they will do you what I call partial slavery. What is partial slavery? Partial slavery is that you are free, but in their land. They will give you everything you need, but in their land. You are not permitted to step an inch. And they don't want us to think. They only want us to remember. When our president attends their meeting, or listen to the presidents, listen to African presidents. I'm not talking of one president. Listen to African presidents. The only thing we do is when we attend their meetings, we echo what they have taught. We don't contribute nothing. Because we are not trained to think. What are they looking for in Africa? They are looking for raw material. They are not looking for raw people. They collect our raw materials and make it useful in their place. Then they want Africa to remain the way we are. Let me say this to you. This is what happened in Laodicea. When I went into research and I discovered the amount of gold that was found in Laodicea, and I went into history and I studied and discovered that this land do not produce gold. How much more you have too much gold? Somebody must go down for another to come up. They have taken advantage of us. What are they looking for in Africa? I made a complete research and I make bold to say this. The whole African countries put together, all the African country put together, our yearly budget, our yearly income as a continent is not 20% of American own as a country. I'm talking about Africa. Put the whole of Africa is not 20% of American own. But this is a continent. The richest continent in the world when you talk about raw materials. They made our education system education that remembers. But we can help ourselves. Every business you're doing today, when you want to make it international business, they sit you down and teach you to remember. That is why they tell you formulas. These are things to remember. They tell you strategies. These are things to remember. Before they started teaching you, they have drawn a line of the height you will get to. If your business must go beyond that height, you will bring them to come and manage it. Show me any business that have succeeded beyond boundaries. They are the people at the head. Why? They think we remember.